Un gran lugar para poder juntarnos como fabricantes y distribuidores y clientes y crear negocios y oportunidades juntos.
Me sorprendió muchísimo fabricante, muy bien organizado.
Y la idea de venir a la feria de Mexico Fasteners es buscar distribución para distintos estados de México.
Gracias, Fastener.
Visita Fastener Fair.
No falten, los esperamos.
Buenas tardes a todos. Bienvenidos a esta.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We're going to be providing training to all of our exhibitor of the Fastener Fair Mexico that is going to take place in September, and Expo Guadalajara from the 5th to the 7th in the framework of Expo Nacional Ferretera, which is another event. So Fastener Fair Mexico this year expects to be a large event. Hopefully, we're going to have a record-breaking fair. We're going to break the records in terms of attendance because of two factors. The very first one is because we are noticing significant increase in growth in the industrial projects that we have across all of the market verticals, whether it's transformation sectors, manufacturing sectors, transformation sectors, service sectors, across all industries where there's an application for the fastening and clamping industries. So for that reason, we expect high participation. The second factor is that this event is going to be taking place at the same time as Expo Nacional Ferretera, and this event is now commemorating its 35th anniversary after it has been ever evolving. And for this reason, we believe that we are going to have the attendance of about 40,000 significant and top distributors. So for Fastener Fair, we're going to have distributors for not only from all over Mexico, but from Central America. So this training session is very important as well. This is going to be a key factor for your participation and to achieve the expected results for us to have a very productive event. That the RX Mexico team did was that it developed all of this pieces of information for you to have a great and productive participation. Right on, we're going to pass the floor to Lixel Michi. So thank you so much for attending today's session, and well, see you in another edition of Fastener Fair, and we expect a great results from it. Thank you. Thank you. Happy afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisette Michi, and I'm a coordinator of the Fastener Fair Mexico. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about our project. So next slide, please. It is an RX exclusive program. It has been defined to build effective business networking across the different exhibitors, participators. We would like to also connect people who would like to take part in this. How are we creating these networking connections? By taking part in our one-on-one business schedule program. Over there, you're going to be able to have an 8-meeting agenda, and you're going to be also taking part in several networking activities that are going to be sponsored, whether as cocktail, dinner time, lunchtime, or even breakfast time with our buyers who were part of our program. Well, we expect to have decision makers as part of our program who are interested in learning more about vendors or whoever has a very specific need of productions and products and services in general. the profiles that we are addressing, like I said, we have decision makers in mind. We expect to have people from procurement, manufacturing, projects, and the sectors on which we are focusing in this edition are mainly the automotive, aerospace, and manufacturing sectors. We also have other construction and warehouse and hardware stores. We're going to have 3 days of events where we're going to have all of these schedule appointments at the Club Elite. You're going to have different activities. You can just approach new buyers that are seeking new vendors if you're interested in developing new businesses as part of this event. Next slide, please. Our buyers also have their own lanyard and badge so that you can find them in the exhibition floor. We're going to share the design to all of you so that you can tell who they are, so that you can approach them, or if they reach in your stand, and you can just welcome them. Lastly, we would like to invite you all to be in touch with your commercial contact person so that you can also take part in the business scheduling program so that you can have contact with our different buyers. And we know that this could add more value to your participation in this exhibition. Now I'll pass the floor to my colleague Ariadna from Customer Experience. Thank you so much, Mrs. Michi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ariadna Rivero. I'm part of your customer experience. That's my contact information in case you would like to reach me out. And once you have executed your contract with your rep, you're going to have the follow-up activities with me. On screen, you're going to see a QR code. This is for you to be able to join the WhatsApp group. This is for exhibitors. It is not mandatory. However, it is highly recommendable because we're going to be providing information, key data as we get closer to the event date. Now it's time to talk about the deadlines of the different activities. First, completing or editing the exhibitor's profile. Take into account that this information is the marketing and commercial information that is going to be printed in the catalog. It is important that you do this before or on or before of June the 12th. If you don't do that, your company is not going to have any information. This is going to be also available in the exhibitor's website. Now, I want you to please submit your company's logo via email. That is going to be added into the printed catalog as well. If you do not submit this by June the 19th, you're going to still be part of the printed catalog, but with no picture next to your name. And also, I would like to ask you to please provide me with your design information. This is specifically for those exhibitors who are going to have an external vendor to build a stand, and the documents are going to be reviewed later on. The vendor, civil liability policy, then the DRO report if applicable. The deadline to get this information is by June the 24th or before. You need to provide the information of your stand provider, or you can just enter that information in your exhibitor.
Bien, ahora sobre los
June the 24th. Now, concerning extra services, you need to retain them before August the 9th with the venue. I will later share the information on how to retain these extra services.
Recibir un precio preferencial. Después de esta fecha, el precio aumentará.
So that you can have a preferential rate. Now, batch registration, that's before August the 12th, you're going to get an email with a link, and then that way you're going to be able to register your different batches, and later on I'm going to explain how this process is like. And by the 12th, August the 12th, you're going to have everything ready. So I would like to ask you to please.
Bien, ahora vamos a empezar para saber qué es lo que incluye el espacio contratado. Si ustedes contrataron un espacio libre, lo que incluye es el uso del espacio temporal,
Now, whenever you use space, You're going to have the floor, electric power.
Eléctrico es por cada 9 metros cuadrados, topado a 2. Por ejemplo, si tu stand es de 9 metros cuadrados, te incluye un contacto doble. Si tu stand es de 18 metros, el contacto que te incluye es dos dobles, perdón. Si tu stand es de 36 metros, también te corresponderían dos
outlets.
Lo máximo son
That's pretty much the maximum amount that you're going to have in your site. And what your space includes are, again, the badges, the Imperia app, which is the badge application. We're going to explain how this works as well. And also your brand on the web directory. We're going to have basic information and also a logo in the printed catalog. Next one, please.
Ahora, si contrataste un montaje con mamparas básicas, ¿qué es lo que incluye tu espacio? Incluye la estructura de aluminio, la alfombra, bueno, en este caso el salón ya viene alfombrado, una mesa, 2 sillas.
You're going to have a chair, a table, the name of your company on a label, on a marquee, and like I mentioned before, we're going to have badges, the use of Imperia, and also the brand on the catalog and the Exhibitor web basic, and also a logo on the printed catalog. Next one, please. So if you also have a design with an intermediate or basic or premium design, your customer experience is going to put you into contact with the RX solution department because they're going to be responsible for following up on your assembly.
Si en tu espacio libre contratado aún no
in your retained space you do not yet have a stand vendor, you can contact our design and production department. They are the ones I just mentioned, our X solutions here on screen. I will just leave the pieces of information, Alejandra Jessica's information. You can contact them or you can either send me an email and I can contact you with them. Next one, please. If you already have an external staff vendor for your retained space, please take the following considerations into account to get the approval of your staff design and the pre-authorization letter so that you can have your own assembly. Next one, please. Now, the considerations are the following. As item number 1, first you need to submit to the organizing committee the following documentation. That's the render with the stand, with all of the measures, the civil liability insurance policy, and that you also make a registration on your exhibitor's staff as well. And so it's for those exhibitors who got any sort of platform or if you're going to have a LED screen that is above 6 meters, you need to provide a structural calculation provided by a DRO. You need to submit this information before July the 24th. Item number 2 with the organizing committee is going to receive the information and validate all of that information. Once we have received your documentation, it is going to take 24 to 48 hours to provide this information. For those exhibitors who shared a DRO, are going to have 3 to 6 business days. If everything is right, then the committee is going to provide you pre-authorization for assembly, taking into account that this information is applicable explicitly for those vendors who have retained an external vendor, and the date is by July the 24th. Next one, please. Now, the pre-approval letters are just letters that are requiring pre-authorization and that are subject to an on-site review to validate that the documents that have been provided match whichever structure is going to be built and that they meet the safety needs. If the on-site committee identifies any sort of danger, even though there's a letter provided to you, you may get a suspension until everything is already validated to prevent any sort of damage. It is important to mention that exhibitors who have provided a DRO, the document is going to be later validated by an expert. Next one, please. What happens if I got a basic, intermediate, or premium design, or if I got the basic dividers, well, in that case, exhibitors who got this retention, they do not need to provide this documentation that I just mentioned. This is
La siguiente, por
going to
favor.
be done internally.
Ahora vamos a hablar de los servicios adicionales.
Now let's talk about extra services. In order to get extra services as mandatory services are food and beverages, internet, and electric power. These services need to be retained with Expo Guadalajara. This means with the venue. This information is found in the exhibitor's manual in page 9, and the deadline is August the 9th to get preferential cost. Now, there's a list of official vendors. However, these are optional services to be retained. If you have any other vendor of your preference, you can also retain them. Our recommendation is just to follow some of them. Let's say furniture, travel agency, models, interpreters, stand design, private security, and staff, and stand cleaning. You can find all of this in the exhibitor's manual, page 12. And the date that I could recommend you to get this optional services is 1 month before the event. Next one, please. Other official vendors to plan products or samples for the event, meaning to get transportation for loading purposes, are near group as you have it over there. It's an optional service. And we also have, for the handling area, we have an exclusive vendor with whom you need to do this mandatory sourcing is through Expo Guadalajara, meaning with the venue, or also with Conair. So these are the only two vendors with whom you can do this type of retention. You can find this information in page 11 of the exhibitor's manual. Next one, please. Now I'm going to talk a little about the different things that we just added to this manual, the new items. Suggestions for to select your stand vendor. You can find this information in full in page 8 of the manual, such as validating the number of staff that is going to build your stand. And for you to be able to get everything in due time and form, we suggest you to have a final design with your staff vendor early July so that you can provide the required information and so that you can also get your assembly letters, the documentation as well. Make sure that your vendor has some references of projects or backing of an association. Another new thing that we just added are the good neighbor policies. You may find them in full in page 20 and 21 of the exhibitor's manual. It is forbidden that the activities of the different exhibitors those, let's say, advertising or merch, such as cups and pens, and it is also prohibited to somehow use some holes. Let's say if you are outside the limits of your space, all of that is forbidden. And all sound coming from your space needs to be less than 60 decibels. It is prohibited to do any sort of distribution, lining, or creating lines if you're blocking holes and or anything that is going to prevent access to the spaces and areas of other exhibitors. Several sanctions have been created in the event these good neighbor policies are not followed. The very first one, that's a verbal warning by RX on any violation, and they were going to have a warning, and then this is going to be signed by the organizing committee. If we were to have any other violation, we're going to have an immediate fine to the exhibitor in the amount of $2,000. And this is cutting out power for an hour. We are not responsible for damages caused by for having just really cutting down your power. And we would like to ask all of the staff as well who are part of the building of and construction of all of your structures and the event in general. Next one, please. Also added text on the dress code. This text is available in page 23 of the manual at all times. While you're at the event, including exhibitors, contractors, and all of them need to use proper attires, business attires, and that are also appropriate for the type of business. What happens with minor visits and stays? Well, what happens when minors? Minors are not authorized to take part in the event in no way or in no form whatsoever. Now, let's talk about how to get into your portal and also your exhibitors. Well, now I'll share my screen so that you can take a look at the step-by-step on how to check your profile, and I'm going to explain the process for you to do it all. So what we need to do is that we need to go to the event here, and then we're going to get into the exhibitor, or well, you can just change the language with either Spanish. You can just click on, well, I'm an exhibitor after exhibe or present. Once we are in this screen, we're going to click on enter here so that you can complete all forms, profiles, and all of the tasks that are shown here.
Bien, ya que nos redirija a esta parte,
So
recuerden
once
que
you are here, this section, your username is the main admin email. If you do not remember this, you can just contact me and I can just tell you what is the user that is already assigned. If you do not recall this, you can just click on just password forgotten, exhibitor's profile.
está un poco lenta la red.
I'm sorry, connection is a little bit slow. It may take some time. So now we're in. Over here, you may see that the exhibitor's profile is at about 39% completed. It is important that the most completed is 30-60%. The more probabilities there are that visitors are going to have an interaction with your company. Make sure that you see a green smiley face next to your profile, because that means that your profile has been completed. This is the company's name. We have a digital package that was retained, the stand number, and how many meters you bought. And now let's click here so that you can check your profile. Again, you can see what is the progress percentage of what you have completed on your profile. So I'm going to make this smaller. Here you can just enter a poster image, then a logo, social media handles, why visiting your stand, your company profile. This is very important. You have to click here so that you can edit your name. The name that you see here, that's the name that is going to be marked on your foot and your blueprints, and that's how visitors are going to find you. Sometimes we have, well, like the legal name and not the commercial name, so just enter whichever name you would like to see. Complete the information via email, brands that your company is representing, selecting the products and services that are represented, and then this matchmaking part is very important as well. This way, you're going to help the platform make some recommendations and match with other companies. Over here, you can just also upload a gallery of products and services, a PDF file, a brochure. So now to go back to the exhibitor center, you have to click here. Now that we are on the main menu, you have to check the Imperia application. Later on, we're going to explain what is Imperia, but this is basically the batch reading or scanning application. Once you have downloaded this application, you're going to get an access code. That access code is already here. That's a unique code. Each company is going to have its own code, and later on, I'm going to send an email to all exhibitors with their own code. So once you have started, just scan your leads. Here you're going to be able to download the report of leads, so that you can start seeing who have you scanned. This may be done since day one of this event. This application is compatible with iOS and Android. Now, in this part over here, you can just upload up to 3 documents. Well, you can share this document with your leads, whichever you would like to provide to your lead. And you can also customize your questions. Questions need to be multiple choice questions. This part is important. You can also prepare your questions with proper tasks that your sales force can also raise the same questions to all leads that you may get. Now, let's go back to the start menu to the home screen. This dashboard. In this dashboard, we're going to be able to see some metrics to determine how many interactions have been has your profile received. They have a breakdown of your products, how many views in each products. Here, you're going to be able to download your report. You're going to be able to set your by region, product, and the matchmaking products. We're going to analyze the answers to visitors. All of this dashboard is going to be enabled 3 months before the event. You're going to be able to see the progress before and after the event. You're going to be able to see how many persons are visiting your profile online, how many are just really, but how many of them are visiting your stand based on the scanning, real-time scanning. And after the event, we're going to check the metrics of the potential customers and their digital participation. In this panel, again, right now it is not open. It is not open yet. It is 3 months before the event. It is going to be activated. Let's go back into the exhibitor section, main menu. And if we go scroll down a little bit more, you see the exhibitor portal, you see some tasks. So it is important that you check all of these tasks. We have a due date, a deadline. We have the status as well. And we can see whether it has been completed or not. We have number 1, which is the manual. You can upload it both in English and Spanish. And then number 2, have stand information. I'm going to and this so that you can see what you need to complete. It's going to build your, and here you can also choose whether these basic screens have been retained, erased, are excellent. This is going to build a stand. Now, if you got these dividers over here, you have to write the name. How would you like to see the name on the top part? And you have to select if you would like to use heavy machinery or not, if you're going to just have any sort of activities for your stand, or if you are you're working with an external vendor to build your stand, well, you need to attach the render here according to the specs, and then the policy, and then back.
En el punto número 4.
In item number 4, sorry, item number 3,
registro de los gafetes.
You have the information on the batch registration so that you can download a PDF file. You have information on the stand vendor. It is a form that we need you to please complete, because here we are requesting the name of the company that is going to be building your stand, the contact name, your email, your phone,
Información del segundo
and so
contacto.
that we can get this information from the second contact. And we also have Imperial information. It is important that you download this information. We have supporting material, checklist, materials, and more information on the event. In item number 7, you can just download how to retain extra services, the information here. On item number 8, we have information on the exhibitor dashboard basic. That's the interaction dashboard that we have. Now, we have the profile. So if you have any questions, and then you can just contact me, and I can certainly just help you with any question that you may have regarding this profile. Let's go back into the presentation. Now let's review this batch information. This is found in page 13 of the manual. For every 9 square meters, we're going to give you 5 batches. The process is that you're going to get a link via email. This link is direct link for you to just make the full registration of your badges. It is mandatory that you use this link for this registration by August the 12th on site in Expo Guadalajara in Lobby 7. This way, September the 3rd from noon to 7 p.m. On September the 4th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. September 6th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday, September the 7th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Now, what happens if I did not register the badges through this platform? They need to be registered and requested on site. On event days, you're not going to be able to also do this registration through this platform or via email, so you have to do it before the deadline, please. All products need to be customized with a name, email, and this information need to be unique. You cannot repeat information such as your email or name or whatever. If there's any piece of information that is repeated or that is not customized, we're not going to be able to get you a badge. If you hire a hostess, you cannot have just hostess 1 or 2. No, we need to have the actual name. Now I'm going to share my screen once more, so that we can play a video on a step-by-step process to register your badges. Tutorial 2 for batch registration.
De tu customer experience.
Step number 1, you will get an email from your customer experience in the platform. Step number 2, click on the link that you got via email. Your credentials will be preloaded. You do not need to change them. You need to click on continue and just follow the instructions. Step number 3, validate the name of your company and stand number. The badges that have been assigned are going to be according to the stand size that you retained. You have option 1. Just click on the button, register staff on the stand. You're going to see a window popping up, and then just repeat the process with all badges. You can add, eliminate as many times as needed before the deadline. Once this deadline is over, the registration or its modification can only be done on site. Option B, load an Excel file. CSV file. You're going to see a window with the download template. Download it, complete it, and then save it in your computer. It is important that you do not add any special characters, accents, or commas. Enter your phones at 10 numbers, no spaces. All fields are mandatory. Do not leave any blank spaces. Please respect the number of badges that have been provided, otherwise you're not going to be able to load the file. Click on the Add Excel file so that you can upload your file. Click on Exhibitor's badge, and if everything is correct, click on Confirm. You may see your information once the file has been loaded. If once you have loaded the file, you see an error, then you need to make sure that we have all of the characteristics. Once you see the information, that means that you need to wait until you pick them up on the event, prevent lines on site, and make your batch registration online. Very well. That's all I had to share with you. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Now I'll pass the floor to my colleague, David Angel. She's going to provide you further information on the digital products that you already have as part of your contract. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ari. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. So now I'm going to talk about two of the digital projects that you have, Emplea and the Exhibitor dashboard, as Ari already discussed. So in the next slide, you're going to be able to see the Emplea application. This is an application that you need to download. Before the event, you need to download it. It is compatible with iOS and Android systems. It is a very friendly, user-friendly application. You can download the attendance badges, and then you're going to be able to get all of the information from the different persons. We already have a database that you can later download as an Excel file through the Exhibitors portal, and it's going to be very easy to handle all of the information that you start generating during this event. This may work for everyone who is at the stand. We're going to share a code with you 1 week before the event. You can share that with your staff, and that way everyone is going to be able to use the application. You're going to be able to get leads immediately. You do not need to have internet on site, but it is important that you download it before the event. It does not matter if you do not have internet connection or if it is not working. You can just use the application, and the minute you join a Wi-Fi connection, or if you have stronger signal, you can just open the application. You can just click on refresh, and automatically all of your leads are going to get synced. It is very important that you do this later on if you do not have a good connection inside. As Ari already mentioned, in the world, you can ask questions, you can add PDF files, and then you can just submit all of this to whoever scanned your application, and then you're going to be able to provide all of the information that you may have uploaded to your profile portal. The Exhibitor dashboard, it's another product that is already included in your subscription. Like we said, 3 months before the event, you're going to be able to see it, and you're going to be able to monitor your performance in terms of how many interactions, views you've had in your profile, how many times we have recommended you on the website, and also on the attendees website. It is very important you can just complete your profile so that we can see them visible in your exhibitor's profile, and you're going to be able to also see your lead analysis. You're going to be able to enter this section, and you can see if those leads are decision makers, if what are the products they're interested in, and you're going to be able to manipulate all of that information through the dashboard. Like I said, it is going to be available 3 months before the event so that you can monitor that. And after the event, you're going to be able to see it during and after the event. And obviously, after the event, you're going to be able to download every lead that has been generated. Before the event, you're going to be able to monitor the views, how complete is your profile, how many clicks you had in your profile, and you're going to be able to see this before. During, you're going to start seeing how many leads you already generated, and you're going to be able to get all of the full information by day, how many leads you created, and you're also going to be able to just download all of this information that is available to you and that is already included in your packages. It is very important to mention this and that you complete your profile so that it is much more visible and so that you can see it in your directory as well, so that all of the information is more visible to all of you, so that you can have more visibility and so that you can generate more visibility with your public. So that's all I wanted to share with you, and I'd like to pass the floor to whoever is next in the team. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Viviana Sanchez. I'm from the operations team. Now let's go over some important parts for your stand structures and for general safety. We're going to access the assembly section through Avenida de las Rosas. You're going to get to the docking station and you're going to get into the events, and then that's where you're going to see all of this. The assembly times is going to be on September the 4th and 3. We're going to start at noon, and then we're going to finish at 10 p.m. assembling. By Wednesday, September the 4th, we're going to start at 8 a.m. and then the assembly is going to finish at 9 p.m. It is very important to note that there won't be any sort of permits of extemporary assembly. We will only have the time that is listed here. Please take this into account as part of your planning. And these assembly times are going to be scheduled for September the 7th, and we will have, let's say, products such as furniture, things that you may carry in your hand, some things that you may have to change in a very simple way from 7 to 8 p.m. And by Sunday, September the 8th, then you're going to have until 2 a.m. Please, next one. If you have any questions, you can just call the organizers committee phone, or you can just approach someone from the safety team and they can tell you where to go to. Safety is key in our case. For that reason, we would like to kindly request you to please follow the safety rules, specifically hard hat, steel toe shoes, or closed-ended shoes. This picture right now is just representative, but you can check the details in your manual so that you can see everything that is needed. And if you have any questions, of course, you can just talk to your customer experience. Shoes are very important. Usually, when we are seeing assemblies, we see a lot of pipes and nails, all types of items that could harm you. For that reason, it is important that you're wearing shoes with very hard soles, specifically for exhibitors. Usually, they like visiting their stand one day and before they're not wearing the appropriate personal protection equipment, or long pants, meaning no shorts, because again we're going to see stairs, ladders, and all types of tools. So please help us keep you safe. Under no circumstances we're going to allow accessing or access to for persons who do not have their legs covered, meaning wearing short shorts or dresses or maybe skirts. So here we're talking about some examples on what's the proper way, safe and unsafe ways to do things. To the left-hand side, you're going to see staff wearing personal protective equipment, the whole attire, they're properly placed on the platform, and then they're just doing everything in a safe way to the right hand side, we usually see this type of maneuvers. They do not wear a hard hat, they're not wearing a harness. There's no structure that is sound enough so that we can help people in case of falls. So please, if you need to use a ladder or scaffolding, please make sure that you are wearing your full personal protective equipment. Important notes for this stand: the permitted height for the special event room is 4.5 meters from the floor to the highest part of the element that you may have, including a peak of a decoration or a marquee or something of the like. Everything needs to be adjusted to your space, the space that you retain, and with a maximum height of 4.5 meters. And we do not allow pending or hanging any other items on top of this height. Another important point is that for those exhibitors who will have a customized structure, we would like to ask you to please consider that those walls that are not in your wall are also to be covered. This is an example of something that is not allowed. The wall is seen. Usually they're just covering the top because they expect someone to be next door and that they can just really cover the bottom part. That's not always the case. So it is 100% your responsibility to have an aesthetical ending and finishing of your structure. Same thing here, some examples. To your left hand side, you may see this is for finishing. It is only covered on the top, not really on the bottom. And these are just small pieces of fabric on the one side and then the other one. And that's just really affecting the show view overall. And then to the right hand side, this is what we're expecting from you. If you have a face that is not shown, that you have a full aesthetical and smooth wall. We need to also consider that sometimes whenever we're using these dividers or screens, do not get concerned about that. We're going to be responsible for that. But whenever you're gonna get your custom stand, you need to check with your customer experience whenever you are going to submit your stand sizes and dimensions. Usually it's 1 or 2 centimeters per size. However, on site, this is going to become a huge issue because it is no longer going to match whichever pieces you had considered, and more specifically, if you get lagged or behind, then maybe all stands are already assembled, and this could cause some delays in your assembly. So, for you to be able to do the appropriate size, just please approach your customer experience contact person so that you can work this out. Next one. Safety is very important. So if you would like to see any decorations, elements such as this ceiling or all of this, marquees and banners, please take some safety elements that can help us support the weight of these structures. Everyone grounded to the floor to prevent accidents. And even though your stand is approved, this may be subject to the fact that, let's say, if someone from the operation or a floor manager notices that you have an unsafe construction or that there's a wall or something that is just falling apart, they're going to let you know about the situation. And they're going to ask you to get a safety point or to get whichever part can help us support this type of weight. Lastly, for those elements that are helping us bear weight, it is very important that you consider that they need to be properly grounded, whether on a platform or maybe if you have a second floor. Well, I don't know if this is the case in this picture, or maybe because you're going to have a column, so it needs to be properly placed. The bases or the graphs need to be properly placed, and it cannot just be some sort of a wooden beam on a base. Everything needs to be properly grounded to the floor or onto the floor. Lastly, usually we're asked, why do we need a DRO for a screen, for a very small structure, or for my platform? Any structure that entails above 1 hour, 1 square meter, for instance, or platform, or even 1 meter above the ground, then that is something that is going to be bearing weight, and it also entails restrictions. Whether screens or whatever, we're going to reach 6 square meters, we may be at a risk of just seeing this breaking apart. We have seen even a screen falling on top of people, or we have other cases where we have seen that some cases, such as, let's say, stairs stands that fall apart, and it is important that you do have a DRO so that you can just make sure that everything is properly planned and grounded. Now, even though you have submitted a DRO, if the floor has a construction that is not appropriate, there's trees, there's something that is not appropriate, if there's some piece of, then we come with you, because we know that your safety comes first. Now, if you have a question on screen structures or whatever, please just approach your customer experience, and then we can provide you further information so that we can help you with any relevant information. Okay, so that's everything that we wanted to share with you. Now let's get into the Q&A section, and then my colleague Samara is going to help you address all of your questions or comments. Hello, me. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate your time for being here, and we know that the information that was provided by my colleagues to you is really valuable. So let's begin with a series of questions that we got in the chat box so that we can just answer to them all. So one of my colleagues is going to help us, okay, depending on whoever's got the proper information. So is my stand cleaning service already included?
Hola de nuevo. La limpieza está incluida en las áreas generales, pero el stand no está incluida. Para eso tendrían que hacer contratación de
you would have to get a vendor that can clean your stand. Thank you, Sari. Now the second question. How many persons can use the batch reading app? It's multi-user. There is no maximum number. Thank you. The organizing committee may store products from my company. Is there some sort of warehouse? No, we do not have any warehouses. In this case, you have to contact our official vendor, which is Nair. Like we said, you can just contact me and I can provide you with the information so that you can check that part with them. Can I give food and beverages to my clients in my event? This is a service that is exclusive of the venue, just to make sure whether if they are going to pay a fee. Well, you can check that directly with Expo Guadalajara. In the exhibitor's manual, there's contact information on the venue. You can contact me and I can provide you with that information as well. Thank you so much, Sari. And I think that this is for operations, Speedy. So if you can help us, that would be great. Can I place something hanging from my stand? No, it is not allowed to hang anything from the ceiling. The civil liability policy, is it mandatory? Yes, you can see in your contract, you have a minimum policy. Where or to whom am I going to submit my render? As Ari explained this, there's a part where you can load this. Otherwise, if you have any issues, you can just send it via email to your customer experience contact. So those were the questions that we had. We would really like to thank the team for having prepared this presentation. I would like to thank the exhibitors. I know that you took your time to take part in this training. You know that you got the customer experience support and that they have helped us throughout all of these months so that you can get into this proper planning for your participation and so that the event is a great success. That's all we wanted to share with you. See you on the 5th, 6th, and 7th in Expo Guadalajara.
Un gran lugar para poder juntarnos como fabricantes y distribuidores y clientes y crear negocios y oportunidades juntos.
Me sorprendió muchísimo fabricante, muy bien organizado.
Y la idea de venir a la feria de Mexico Fasteners es buscar distribución para distintos estados de México.
Gracias, Fastener.
Visita Fastener.
No falten, los esperamos.